Okay, here we are. Hello, everyone. This is Between Two Teachers for Friday, September 16th, uh, 2022. Wow, we've been doing this a few years,
I've been doing this 4 years.
4
4 years.
years, and we haven't changed a bit. So,
No.
welcome everybody. We've got lots of news for you from near and far and changes, and we love to share brilliant ideas, best practices. We are trying to be forward thinking and prepare for the future. And the world is a different place in education for our children, and we're trying to get ahead of that. So, we have a lot of things to share. My name is Consuelo Lara.
And my name is Madeline Cronenberg. And as always, I will do our land acknowledgement. We pause to acknowledge that we've gathered on the ancestral territory of Huichin, which is part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karkin speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to the region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. We offer respect to their elders and all Ohlone people of the past and present. And we continue to advocate for justice for the Muwekma people to be included in the Federal Registry of Tribes, because they have been excluded for a complicated set of historic reasons, and that needs to be changed. So please Google that and join us in following the opportunity to get justice for them as a people. And also to be sure that our statewide curriculums appropriately and completely honor our Native ancestors. Now, what's happening nationwide since we've, it's been a couple of weeks since we've done a Between Two Teachers. Things have gone on there. I'll just hit some highlights of things that continue to be part of the national scene. One of them is in the Midwest that caught my eye, and that is in the state of Missouri. There's a district that has brought back, reinstituted spanking. Now, there are other districts, I know, particularly in the South, that have never gone away from corporal punishment. But to decide to bring it back at this point in time, I think is a remarkable choice to have made. I really think that people have to, the school district is Cassville, Missouri. So if you're interested in the story, you can Google Cassville, Missouri, and see that they've made a choice to bring back a paddleboard. I mean, that's really just saying you are unable to have any kind of control over your students without corporal punishment, right?
Yeah, it really says it.
That's what it is. So there's that. Then there's Florida. And in Florida, we have the governor of Florida, who is a major player in education world. And the biggest thing he's done in education the last few weeks is he fired a group of school board members. Now, these members in particular, there had been some issues with them around how they managed a bond program. But the governor Florida is very personally involved in school boards and in all things regarding school boards. So for him to have taken the step of firing the board members of Broward County is just another part of that. But there had been a grand jury report. He did it in response to the grand jury report. The other thing that happened was in response to the national conversation around banned books. There was a teacher in Oklahoma, a Norman, Oklahoma teacher, Summer Bassmer, and she shared with her teachers, with her students, a QR code that directed them to the Brooklyn Library. Brooklyn Library is making online versions of books that have been banned by other states. They're not banned, obviously, in Brooklyn or New York, but the states such as Oklahoma that have a list of books that they're banning. The Brooklyn Library is making those books available to anyone, and particularly to students who would otherwise not have the ability to have them. And this teacher had shared the QR code with her students, and then was brought in and admonished for that. She was not fired, but she was told, what she must have been told was that she had to stop doing that and take the QR code down. And instead of that, she resigned. Because this is it. It is a state law. They have a state law that requires that you follow their rules around these books. I mean, so this has become a big part of the academic landscape nationwide now. I mean, state after state after state is restricting access to whatever books they feel are hurtful to their children because they show diversity and show diversity of thought. Right.
It's going backwards in time here. My gosh.
Yeah, they're going backwards, but it just anyway. So that is the story of Norman, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Things are quiet on coronavirus right now. Honestly, we're not hearing a lot of information, thank God, and we can just hope that that continues to be the case. The virus that became a big deal was a computer virus. There was a cyber attack that hit Los Angeles and took down their district, right? And so that's a warning to everybody to be conscious of the fact that that's another whole industry of people who are out there, the hackers who are trying to attack school district systems.
Yeah, exactly.
Then the other ones, what was I going to talk about? There is, let me get to this, and then we can talk about housing. Housing continues to be a gigantic issue for, especially for educators and for the education workforce, because educators are, although highly trained and educated professionals, they are lowly paid. And they cannot afford to live in the communities, many of the communities that they serve, especially it's a problem in California. So the Milpitas School District has solved this or approached this dilemma by asking their families to provide an extra room for students, for teachers to move in and sleep in the back room.
I just don't see how they don't see how insulting that is. How horrible that is to a teacher. I mean, what if you have a family? Then what? I mean, it's just crazy. I can't believe it.
What is the presumption there, right? Who would you, I mean, it's like you're a refugee.
Yeah.
I mean, when do you have that kind of an offer made? I mean, I understand that. I mean, this just shows this. What's interesting to me is that they came up with this rather than there are other options. You could use your buildings. You could repurpose your buildings. You could pass a bond measure. You could build housing as opposed to asking your families to use the back bedroom.
Yeah. And you could pay, of course, that would help.
You could pay so that your teachers could live next door to the tech workers who live in your community and afford to buy a house just like they can.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But that's not what they did. They instead came up with this open your homes to teachers initiative.
Oh my gosh. It's like a student exchange thing or like no.
Exactly. Or, or after when there's a huge disaster and families have to be relocated because they're after Katrina. I know that happened after Katrina with some people, but really this is for,
And it's
So-
not exactly, we talk a lot about elevating the profession. This is not one of those things that elevates that profession. No, no, no. We have to start putting housing on the table, part of negotiations. Teachers need to start demanding that districts build houses, you
It
know,
needs to be in contracts. People
contract.
need to say, look, since this is what you're going to pay me, we need as an organization to have subsidized housing.
Exactly.
Because we can't live here. We can't live here. And so however you're going to do that, and this is not one of the ways, this is not one of the possible ways.
Not one of
Right.
them.
No. But
No,
you need, and housing can be built. So there's all sorts of things out there now. There was a recent report done by, I think it was done by the California School Board Association, called Education Workforce. Education Workforce Housing Handbook. And then they did a big program on developing the 21st century campus of education workforce housing.
mhm,
And it's been done. It can
Yes.
continue to be done,
yes.
but you have to have the commitment to do it.
Yeah, it's just got to be that commitment. And oh God, there's just, you want to attract teachers, you want to keep the ones you have so they don't leave. So this is necessary, as well as, you know, addressing families that need childcare benefits. Childcare is very expensive, you know, so the cost of living is not just cost of living for the country or the state, but for your little in between, you know, area like the Bay Area, cost of living is very high. So a lot of that's got to be taken into consideration. You need to elevate this profession and be respectful of this profession in such a way that you provide what's needed for these teachers to stay here and to come here. So yeah, all of this, there's so much that could be done. Now, if they had shared governance before they made that decision would not have been made to do that. But that's another area I want to talk about.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. I'll just say, this is, I pulled up this report, and it's from this year, and it says, what can LEAs, right, do to effectively pursue education workforce housing development? And so you can develop a partnership with the community before and throughout the process. Design solutions that are specific to the school, the site, and the neighborhood. Prepare for a lengthy process, and it's going to take time. Keep the process of site evaluation. You have to pick sites to do it, but that can be done. And it just takes saying we are committed to doing it.
Yeah.
We are. It has been done, right? In Daly City is the perfect, most recent example to doing it.
You know, there's just so many ways that the partnerships that could happen with a city. Suppose a city wants workforce housing for their city workers as well. So teachers and school staff. And I remember somebody talking about we could trade and purchase apartment complex, you know, and make it so that upgrade it so it's already there. So there's just different ways of doing it. And we do have land that could be built upon to build these. So it will take time, but there's so many different ways to do this, to
Right.
provide a home for these teachers and their families.
And it can be teachers, and if you work together with a city, it could be the rest of the workforce, right? The public workforce. So it can be your firefighters and your police officers. They can't afford to live here either.
Yep.
Right. You have the same issues, right? So that and certainly there are other workers in public entities that are less have even lower salaries who can't afford.
Yeah.
Right. We're more of a problem.
Yeah.
So it needs to be addressed, and it can be addressed. It absolutely can happen. And the idea that you would come up with the Milpitas solution just shows the direction that people are going in, right? The idea it with teacher housing is to understand that this is something that these professionals deserve, and to put something together that mandates that teachers have to drive 5 hours or have from many hours a day to be able, if they want to be able to afford to live somewhere, or they have to buddy up and live forever in communal spaces. Totally outrageous and unfair.
Yeah.
It just
Yes, absolutely. And boards could put together a resolution. From that resolution, you could start a task force. From that task force, you come up with solutions, and it's open and people can brainstorm community-based solutions to these issues.
and boards can meet together. This is the other thing. You can collaborate. More than one district could work. Districts could work together, and districts can work together with their county and with their cities,
Cities.
right? All of them could come together and collaborate around that. And that's what's missing. No one is doing that. Instead, we are collaborating with our families who have an extra room.
I tell
That
you,
is the partnership that they are going.
get them a tent. I tell you, that's gonna be the next thing.
That's
Okay.
that's it. That is the strategy that actually is being used, and that's why it has to be called out as wrong. And for those of you who are listening to us, people who are involved in talking about contracts, people who are on boards, do it. Look for the Education Workforce Housing in California. Go and
Yeah.
look for that report. There
Yeah.
are answers in there. There are strategies there,
And
and
NEA,
pass resolutions.
NEA.org has article, Affordable Housing for Teachers. It's now on the table. That's the title of the article from NEA. So this is not a new idea. It's not a crazy thing. This is real. Let's just do it. Let's just agree it needed and move on it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So tell us, last week you were at a conference, and we want to hear what you learned.
Yeah, I was at a conference in Monterey at the California County Boards of Education Conference, and it's a part of CSBA, of course. And there were a lot of really good things that we talked about. A lot of workshops on mental health. That's such a big issue. And by the way, not just the mental health of our students and their families, but our caregivers, our teachers and their staff. I mean, we're all been traumatized for the last 2 years. So
Right.
Everyone, mental health needs to be taken into consideration. So that was good. Interesting one on how schools need to be more active around climate change and do more in teaching about climate change. And I agree with that. So that was very good as well. And then, but the one I really enjoyed was the workshop on shared governance. And apparently this started a year ago, August of 21, with an initiative from CSBA or CCBE. And they came up, it's going to be a multi-year initiative, and they've got their task force of about 6 people on their county board members, task force. And
You want to share it? You share
share
the PowerPoint?
yes, I could.
Why don't you do that?
Okay, let me see. Go here, and then and let's see. Oops. So I'm not sure how to do that exactly. So do I?
You just have to select the screen that has the PowerPoint on it.
Okay. Select the screen that has the PowerPoint. Okay. So can you see it?
No, but now do shared screen.
Okay, now do shared screen. Okay, close this. And so I got it. Nope, don't see it yet.
Yeah, we can see it. No, but you now play the PowerPoint. Now go
Up to the top.
up to the top, and then press the one that says, the start the PowerPoint.
Which is, where do we see that?
Or you can just make it all bigger, but it's,
Yeah, it's got the little things on the side first. Okay,
Yeah, there you go.
all
Now
right.
just make it full screen though, so we can see it, because it's a little small still. Or you can just pull it full screen.
Okay,
There we are.
is it better?
Now we can. Mhm.
Okay, so this was CBE's shared governance initiative. And one of the first things they did was they talked about, here are the presenters, county boards of education, and from Ventura, Placer, San Mateo. And they talked about, why are we doing this work? Why are we on boards? What is our purpose? And that it's important for us to ask ourselves why, and that's a perfect picture right there. This is why we're doing all of this. But I think lots of times lose sight of that. And we don't, realize that the California public education system must provide an education of excellence, equity, and justice for all students. So here was a challenge, which I thought was interesting, that they talked about how the role of the county board of education and the county superintendents of schools, well, it's different than the districts, but it also has overlapping responsibilities. And that's the confusion and the controversy. So there have been these, I thought, interesting, over the 120 years, since county boards of education have been established, there's been these piecemeal legislation and about how they operate. Of course, they're all different, so they would want to operate differently. And so then there was the local control issue, the local control and accountability plan, the LCAP, and there were ways that shifted more responsibility onto counties as oversight of districts in the county. But then even that is still confusing, because some people think, well, don't you have responsibility over these districts? Well, not really, but in a way. So you can influence them, but you can't really direct them and say, okay, you're out of compliance in this or that. But the superintendent has a little bit more of that power to do those things. So in order for these two entities to cooperate, they have to agree to the concept of shared governance, which is characterized by shared authority, accountability, and responsibility, and aligned vision. So this is the only way that we can both govern together effectively and seamlessly for the benefit of the students and the families in their country. But there are probably people who would argue with that's confusing and that's muddy, and that you really, that it's not effective. Other people would say, you need somebody in charge, kind of thing. So again, here was the background of it, the journey. And the last thing, they did a lot of things. They went to the CCSEA, they talked with the CSBA leadership. And so it's an ongoing, they want input from people. They do. The Shared Governance Task Force, they've asked, what are you doing? At the workshop, they heard a lot of problems that were happening, not so much good examples. But they're working on a handbook, which I think is really a great idea. A handbook for trustees that clarifies the roles and gives best practices. That's what we're all about. Best practices to address key challenges. So how do we do that? How do we reach that shared governance given the challenges that we have? So personally, I think that we need to institutionalize collaborative practices. It has to just be institutionalized, that this is the way we do things in a collaborative way. So we've got to recognize that. So they're going to try to create a handbook that it's comprehensive, it's clear, it provides legal analysis. That's everybody want to know, is this legal? Gives us directions and examples, and help us strengthen our governance and in our various counties. And I think it's wonderful. I think it's a great idea that, then they had a little game about the, who does what. And so the legal responsibilities in terms of cooperation between the county board and the superintendent is what gives best results for students. Now, I learned that in that training for California Labor Management Initiative, that when you have labor management, have healthy, strong relationships, the students' academic achievement is affected.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just, I kind of think of it as a marriage. If mom and dad are fighting, well, the kids are stressed out and they can't do their best. But when that's a healthy relationship, the kids thrive. And that's what we want. And I
And
think
it's the same here. It's the same here between the superintendent and the elected board, the elected superintendent.
we want a healthy, strong relationship. So these are the 6 chapters that are going to be in the handbook. And we're going to post this also, the PowerPoint,
Mhm.
and we'll do that. And about responsibilities, working together. I thought this was interesting, that these are places where things intersect. The county board does some things and the county superintendent does others. And the area where they intersect is where we definitely need to have shared governance. And that's, I think we're not good at doing that yet. I can see a lot of conflict right there. We're often told, no, you don't do that, but we advocate, we are well, there's advocacy right there
Right there,
on the bottom.
right there.
So stay tuned, and I would like to participate a lot more with this. I already contacted one of them and he said, love to sit and talk with me and, find out my ideas. So I intend to put a lot of this is kind of the same thing, only in a table, to share my ideas. Absolutely. There's special topics and case studies. That would be great. Tools. Oh, here's a timeline of what they've done so far, their goals. Oh, 2012. This was, well, he didn't talk about this. So this, I think, was probably something they did prior to.
Right, looks like the past.
Yeah, in the past. So next steps, continue the collaborative work. And so they're going to have another meeting in December at CSBA. So we'll have our another update on it. But they want to launch this and provide professional development, in-person workshops, online webinars, ongoing multi-year process. So it looks good to me. It looks like they're going to roll it out, but I'll tell you, there's going to be some people kicking and screaming, but we'll drag them into the future and into into sharing and shared governance, because it's just benefits everybody, really does, especially students. So let's see if there's anything else in here.
It's something most people don't think about, right? Because they don't realize that there is a tension there because there is the overlap, right? Which doesn't exist on district boards, only on county boards, because district boards hire their superintendent. So there's this confusion. Isn't part of their story.
Yeah.
But it is in the county boards.
Yeah.
Well, I think the final thing I wanted to do for us today is just give my shout out. My shout out is to the good people of the California Library, the California State Library System, who've partnered with somebody called Help Now Tutoring. And this is a program that is now available in the state of California for every person who has a computer to be able to get access to online tutoring, one-to-one tutoring, 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. in multiple languages on any topic, pretty much. Particularly chess. You could also learn chess, apparently, but on any academic topic. It's an amazing thing that this has come through.
And
so
then it's multilingual. That's the great thing, is multilingual. So many different languages.
Right. So, when you think of all the things that you would really want someone, how you can support our children, this is it. This is doing it. Now, where are these, there obviously are people here who are hired. These are tutors. So this is another group of professionals who've been brought in. Some families are able to do their own tutoring. Mom and dad are perfectly able to support their kids at home. Many families cannot. And this is for all of them. The languages are English, Spanish, Mandarin, Cantonese, Vietnamese, and Tagalog. It is an amazing thing that they have. They're available in core K-12 subjects, right? 24/7 assistance in English and Spanish for language arts and math.
Wow. Oh, everybody needs to know about this for sure.
Everybody needs to know, and teachers need to know and use it.
And use it. Yeah.
Teachers need to know and figure out how to put their lessons, their homework together in a way that, and if you're starting it and you have a hiccup, this is where you go.
Yeah.
This is where you go, and you talk to the tutor at this program with the state library.
And people can find it by just Googling.
You just have to Google basically Help Now.
There you go.
Online tutoring. I'll put the link in here. I'm gonna keep reposting it on our Facebook page, and anyone who is watching this here, please go to it and share it out to your networks. Share it out in LinkedIn, share it out on Facebook, share it out on Instagram. Our teachers need to use it. And if you're somebody who has influence over teachers, knows teachers, please share this out and figure out that this is an online homework help that never existed before.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
everyone. When you go there, they ask you what library, all they're saying is which library portal you're going to use. You can use, for us, we can use Contra Costa County.
Yep.
Right. If you're somewhere else in California, you can use wherever that may be.
That's
right.
good.
But it looks to, and please, if you do it, let me know. If there are problems with it or hiccups, I would love to know that. But if it works, we want to share out the fact that it does work, because this is an enormous step forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Great.
Right. I mean, it's hard to believe that they've done it, but they have.
I know.
So, I mean, just think of that. If you have issues with your kids, everybody's talking about how difficult math is. Here it is.
There you go. You can get help. You can
You
get
can
help.
get help.
Perfect.
You can get help. So we're leaving here on a happy note. This is good use of our taxpayer dollars. And thank you to the California State Library System, who you must never underestimate. They are incredible. And this level of resource is amazing. Just amazing.
Excellent. All right.
That's it for me. Do you have a shout out, or are we
No, I
joining
think
the
library is, yes, absolutely. Shout outs to those librarians.
absolutely librarians everywhere. We salute you. So till next time, from Between Two Teachers.